Moot morning, moot morning, moot morning, moot morning.
Well, moot morning, everyone. This is another installment of what we are fondly referring to as moot morning, talking to former mooters and kind of getting their perspective on some of the questions that I get asked every year, and I think hopefully will be helpful to some of those 2Ls that are thinking about trying out for the team. So, of course, as always, I am joined today by our assistant coach, Natsumi Kobe, it's Kobe, and a special guest, Katelynn Armijo, Miss Armijo.
Moot morning.
Moot morning to everyone. It's great to see y'all. Katelynn, thank you especially for being here this morning.
It's an honor.
So, Katelynn, one of the questions I get literally from every person that tries out for the team is about time commitment. And how is it that a student can handle Moot Court and other activities? And I think I'd like you to answer that question. I do want to ask you, if you would, talk about it first from the perspective, well, and let me say this, you are a relatively recent graduate, right?
May 2019. So yeah, I've been out 1 year.
Yeah, and so these are not, you don't have to dig far back in your memory perhaps to remember being a rising 2L and knowing about some of the concerns that you probably had about time and being able to handle classes and other activities as well as Moot. So I'd like you to address it from that perspective, just as someone that is, facing, and of course this year is a little different just because of the pandemic and those issues as well.
Yeah.
But is facing a 2L year, and then also as a 3L, because I know you got very involved as a 3L as well, especially in journal, which you were on as a 2L and a 3L.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can kind of address some of that for us and just give the kids that may be trying out a perspective on that.
For sure. So I'll start with 2L. I was a staff writer during my 2L year, and I was also a member of the Moot Court team. I found the time commitment, 2L year is naturally, I think, a little bit more challenging than 1L year, just because you have classes that are a little bit more complicated and things are just a little bit more involved. But the way that Moot Court was structured was it was really easy for me to incorporate Moot Court in my life, particularly maybe because I just really enjoyed it, but also because I could get up. I knew they would send an email around for Moot Court and I would sign up for a time, and I knew when my time slot was, and practices would gradually increase as we got closer to competition. But particularly my 2L year, I think my first semester I was only in maybe one competition, and then the second semester I did 2. So it was really easy for me to kind of focus on that one competition. I did Matt Kidd my first year, my very first competition ever. So things were a little crazy, and I think it was October. Just because I had journal deadlines and I had Moot Court, and that's just the reality of life. But when you care about things, you just kind of make it work. And the way the structure was, though, it's a lot of on your own preparation for Moot Court, which made it really easy for me to kind of work my schedule around and know when I was going to devote time to my competition and to my argument and, to brief writing if we needed to write a brief. And that really carried into my 3L year as well. I was one of the solicitations editors for the Law Journal. So I was on the board, which is also a huge time commitment as a 3L. And I was team captain for Moot Court. So I was burning the candle on both ends. I tell people this and they think I'm crazy, but I just loved it so much. And like I said, because the flexibility that Moot Court offered in terms of me being able to pick my schedule and know when I was going to meet with you and kind of work around my school schedule and my journal assignments and kind of really put together my calendar, I knew when I was going to have time to really formulate my arguments and then reformulate my arguments after I met with you.
Slightly.
Slightly. Never crazy.
Very small changes most of the time, truly. And let me expand on that just a little bit, Katelynn. When you're talking about that time that you would come in for practice, What I've tried to do, especially probably in the last, I don't know, 10 years now, is set times for students to come in. So, for example, if we're practicing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I may have students practicing from 6 until maybe 11 at night, but we're setting those up into slots. And so it's 6 to 6:30 or 6 to 6:45, and then the next student comes in after that. And so you get to pick your slot. So you don't have to be there from 6 to 10 or 6 to 11. You're there for your time and then you leave. And that was helpful to you, I guess.
It was incredibly helpful, primarily because it gives you, like I said, it gives you a designated set time. So you know when you have to have an argument prepared, or you know when you have to be ready to go. And you know that you're going to pretty much, I mean, it's pretty much you get in, get out. You go into the moot court practice, you present your argument to Ricky. He is going to give you some really constructive criticism on things that you can work on. He's going to ask you questions that you might not have thought of yet, which is so helpful. And then you're going to leave after 45 minutes or so and get the opportunity to continue working if you need to on that argument or make those changes. So because it's so time effective, I guess is the word I'm going to use. It's not, I didn't ever feel like I was wasting time. It felt like everything was just, which was really important considering I had other things that I had committed to as well.
Sure. And you know, when I talk about that with students, I never want to give the impression that means that moot court is easy in the sense of, you know, it's a 45-minute commitment. That's the time that you're in front of me.
Yes.
But the idea is that you're going to put a lot more time into getting that argument ready. You just get to pick and choose when that time is, right?
Exactly. Which, I mean, it could be on the weekend. It could be at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care how other people work. I, particularly relating to my last semester of my 3L year, there was a day where I didn't have class, and I would either spend a Tuesday working on journal all day, or I would spend a Thursday working on moot court all day. It was kind of be like a balanced schedule, I guess. So I knew when I was going to set those times to work.
Yeah,
because it takes time.
You're currently working at a family law firm, right?
Yes, I am.
In Houston.
In Houston.
Do you think moot court was instrumental to you at all in terms of the skills that you may have learned in moot and how those skills translate? Because as you may know, oftentimes, you know, students will be concerned that moot court is kind of an exclusive path for appellate attorneys versus a litigation lawyer or contracts attorney or something like that. That if you're going in those fields, perhaps moot court wouldn't be the best fit. What do you have any thoughts on that? Anything you would say about that?
I would like to say that people that do moot court are going to, I can't put in words how much it's helped me even in my first year of practice, because I go for trial in front of judges and I feel, and I might not always be correct, but I feel that I am always more prepared than other people. And I think it's because I'm so used to absorbing so many cases and so many things right before a moot court argument that I kind of put the same, obviously I can't put the same level because I'm billing actual people now. They wouldn't like that. But I put, I feel like so much time into making sure that I've thought about other things that are going to come up in the argument that I might not have thought of before I did moot court. And it makes me go into trial or even just arguments about, I don't know, regular like temporary orders or hearings where I have to go and ask questions, and I have such a better idea of what the law is and what my arguments are going to be going into that. And I feel like I'm quicker on my feet. Like I kind of know if somebody asks me a question, I've already thought it through. And I guess part of that's being prepared, but the level of preparation that I've gotten to and the efficiency at getting to that level of preparation really did come from working in moot court and studying arguments and getting experience actually arguing in front of real life attorneys, which is what you get when you're on moot court.
And Katelynn, I don't remember your story with regard to actually trying out for the team. What motivated you to try out in the first place? Did you consider other options? Did you try out for other teams? And what brought you to moot court in that interview that we had?
I only tried out for moot court. I knew Moot was the way to go. I don't know. I think it was partly, let me think. I remember it was not that long ago, but it feels like it was so long ago, particularly because 2020 feels like it's been 5 years. But I just remember, I think it was actually Billy, if I had to guess.
Billy Cal.
Who was team captain 2 years before I started. So my 1L year, he was a 3L. And it was part of just watching him, and he was also on Journal. He actually, funny story, I just want to be him when I grew up because he was also the solicitations editor on Journal. So it's, I'm slowly following in his footsteps.
We all want to be Billy. I think that's a fair statement.
Goals. But
Katelynn calls us the next day and she's like, I'm at the U.S. Attorney's office now.
But I think it was just watching him and knowing that he was a really successful student and he had a really, really good career path lined up for him. And I think part of that was, the fact that he's really, really smart. He's brilliant. Also, he's really hardworking. But I think Moot Court had such a big play in his life and his journey in law school that watching that really kind of made me want to take that same path. And I think that's probably the same legacy, I'm going to call it, that Natsumi's had as well for the students. So it was a lot of that.
Do you feel like Moot Court opened any doors for you in terms of interviews or positions that you actually were looking to have coming out of law school?
So coming out of law school, it was really neat because after a couple competitions that I competed in, I actually was reached out via LinkedIn by some of our judges that had judged us in Moot Court rounds. And ultimately, Moot Court wasn't the path that got me directly to the job that I have right now in Houston. But it definitely opened a lot of doors for me and gave me the opportunity to meet. I met most of the judges on Texas appellate benches just from arguing Moot Court. And I met so many people even on the Texas Supreme Court, and I argued in front of and got to meet a 7th Circuit judge, and just meeting high caliber people, I think, puts you kind of in a good position to feel more comfortable taking steps to get where you want, if that makes sense.
It was great having you on the team. You were extremely successful during your 2 years, and you continue to give back. Every time I ask something of you, you're ready and willing, and I really appreciate all the work
always.
that you do. Well,
I miss Moot Court every single day. I always miss it. I think to myself, oh, I just really want to argue. And then I think maybe I should switch to appellate law so I can argue more, like that type of argument. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite parts of law school. And law school kind of sucks. So that's pretty promising. It's definitely my highlight. So I miss it.
If we've got somebody watching this recording that is kind of on the fence about whether to try out or not, what do you say to that person?
I say you should 100% try out. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. What is that? Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah.
So I would encourage absolutely anybody on planet Earth to do it. That's in law school, I guess, and qualified, because it was the highlight of my law school career. I miss it. I got to travel. I got to meet so many good friends. I got to practice and really develop my skills as an advocate. And there's literally nothing that I could compare to the experience I got in Moot Court to my practice now. There's nothing I can compare it with. And Journal looks good on your resume, but Moot Court looks good on your resume too, because you get to check both boxes, or I got to check both boxes. So, because they're going to ask you if you were on Moot Court. And it's so cool to say, heck yeah, I was.
I did both.
This was great.
Well, Katelynn, thanks again for being here. And of course, Moot morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks, Katelynn.
We'll see you later.
Thank you all.
Bye.
I miss you all.
Miss you.
Miss you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.